Welcome to Schnitzer Steel Industries. I am Tamara Lundgren, President and CEO. Today, I have the opportunity to introduce you to our company's code of conduct. Schnitzer is a diversified company. We operate multiple businesses, work in locations around the world, and have a wide range of jobs and responsibilities. What unifies us is a single shared vision of what it means to be a successful, safe, and sustainable company. We are one company. The Schnitzer Code of Conduct outlines our values and sets expectations regarding how we conduct ourselves. Each of us must read, understand, and follow our code. It is one code that applies to all of us. Accordingly, the theme of our code is one company, one code. Integrity is one of our core values. At Schnitzer, we believe that there is only one right way to do business, and that is to do the right thing. Not sometimes, not often, but always. Acting ethically is the foundation upon which all successful business relationships are built. Our code provides us with important guidelines for ethical behavior and for conducting day-to-day business activities. The code training that you are about to begin will highlight the importance of treating our fellow employees, our customers, our suppliers, our community partners, and our investors with respect, fairness, and integrity. Your code training session will also enable you, as new employees, to understand what is expected of you regarding ethical conduct. During this call, we will review our policies and procedures for handling a wide range of issues and decisions we face on a regular and ongoing basis. At this point, I'd like to turn the call over to Megan Erickson, our Chief Compliance Officer.
Thank you. I am Megan Erickson, Chief Compliance Officer. I'm going to focus on key sections from our Code of Conduct during this short slide presentation. To assist you in following along, the slides are presented in the same order as the topics in the full Code of Conduct. Before getting started with the slides, I would like to make two important points. First, like most people, I assume that you want to do the right thing. Sometimes, though, what the right thing is may not be clear. You should view the Code of Conduct as a valuable tool to assist you in understanding the issues and providing guidance on doing the right thing. It is a readily available source of information to help you make decisions that are in the best interests of both you and Schnitzer Steel. Of course, this Code of Conduct is only one such tool, and your immediate supervisor, others at your location, and senior management are also available to discuss situations and issues with you. Second, you are not expected to make decisions regarding a specific situation by reading the Code of Conduct in isolation. Rather, the code should be viewed as a starting point for you to understand our guidelines. In simple or straightforward cases, you may be able to get to the right answer by looking it up in the code. However, in most cases, your initial reading of the code should be followed by a discussion with your immediate supervisor or someone else with whom you are comfortable. There are also policies and other help on the company's intranet that expand on certain of the concepts in the code. Our intention is to get issues on the table so we can use all the resources necessary to reach the correct decision. So please, when in doubt, check it out. The first topic we will cover is reporting issues, concerns, and misconduct. All SSI directors, officers, and employees have an individual responsibility to understand and to follow this Code of Conduct and other SSI policies. Our goal is to facilitate discussions of issues and situations that we encounter in our work in order to make the best decisions. We encourage you to avoid going at it alone or sweeping an issue under the rug, hoping that it will go away and not be detected. Compliance with the code is expected, and violations will be appropriately dealt with and could include termination of your employment. We expect you to share the belief that a dedicated commitment to ethical behavior is the right thing to do and is good business. As employees of SSI, you are in the best position to see potential violations of the Code of Conduct. We encourage our employees to talk to their supervisors about observed or suspected inappropriate behavior, as they are usually the people who best understand you and your job and are the best resource for information. If for any reason you are uncomfortable bringing an issue to your supervisor, you can report it to Corporate Compliance, Human Resources, the Director of Internal Audit, or to any other person in management with whom you feel most comfortable. There are 2 methods for reporting issues if you are not comfortable raising them with your supervisor or other Schnitzer leadership. You can file a report with our whistleblower reporting system. The whistleblower reporting system is a confidential, multilingual system you can access via computer or toll-free telephone number. You can select your preferred language and either provide your contact information or remain anonymous. The system collects no personally identifiable information from reporters. Provide as much information as possible to help us effectively investigate and resolve the issues. Secondly, you may submit a written report by addressing your communication directly to the Chief Compliance Officer. The company will treat information related to a suspected violation in a confidential manner to the extent possible, consistent with the law and the requirements necessary to conduct an effective investigation. When you report a suspected violation, we assign individuals with the right knowledge and objectivity to investigate the issue. The investigation team will analyze the evidence and may conduct interviews. Everyone involved in an internal investigation, including the reporter, implicated parties, witnesses, etc., is obligated to cooperate with investigators, provide information, produce evidence that relates to the case, and keep investigative information confidential to the extent possible and in accordance with the law. At the conclusion of the investigation, the company will review the investigation findings and relevant company policies and determine what, if any, action is warranted to resolve the issues. To the extent possible, no one investigating a potential violation of the code will discuss the identity of anyone who reports it or who participates in the investigation. We will make every effort to ensure that any information revealed is released on a need-to-know only basis. In addition, we will not tolerate any form of retaliation, subtle or direct, in accordance with our strict anti-retaliation policy. We will now discuss employment practices. The company is committed to fostering a work environment in which all individuals are treated with respect and dignity. Each individual should be permitted to work in a business-like atmosphere that promotes equal employment opportunities and prohibits discriminatory practices. Providing equal opportunities also means that all employees have the ability to use their skills and talents in an environment free from intimidation, ridicule, and insults. We will not tolerate the harassment of our employees by anyone, supervisors, coworkers, customers, or vendors. The company expects that all relationships in the workplace will be professional and free of unlawful bias, prejudice, and harassment. You should also be aware that it is the company's policy to comply with all applicable wage and hour laws and other statutes and rules regulating the employer-employee relationship and the workplace environment. This includes respecting the privacy of our employees in compliance with the law. Therefore, the company maintains only those employee personnel and medical records necessary for business, legal, or contractual purposes. Access to those records and the information contained therein shall be limited to those with a need to know for a legitimate business purpose. The company's employment practices also mandate that no employee may interfere with or retaliate against another employee who seeks to invoke his or her rights under the laws governing labor and employee relations. Also, you may not give to or receive from a labor organization anything of value. This is a strict requirement. Thus, for example, you may not take a union representative out to lunch. All employees at all levels are required to support the letter and spirit of these employment practices and policies. We now move on to safety, health, and environment. Our company is committed to providing a safe and healthy workplace for its employees and visitors. For that reason, and to protect the safety of yourself and others who are present at company facilities, you are required to carefully follow all of the company's safety policies and procedures. You are also encouraged to report to your supervisor any conditions which you perceive to be unsafe, unhealthy, or hazardous to the environment. You may contact the Human Resources Department to obtain more information with respect to specific safety policies. You are an employee of Schnitzer Steel or one of its wholly owned subsidiaries like Pick and Pull or Cascade Steel. You also have a life outside of Schnitzer. A conflict of interest may arise when the company's interests and your personal interests are incompatible. One way this can arise relates to financial interests. SSI employees may not enter into any business deal or relationship that results in a personal financial gain that is incompatible with the interests of the company. It is expected you will always act in the best interest of the company. Any activity that may cause questions about conflicts should be disclosed to your supervisor or me. Another way a conflict can arise relates to family relationships. SSI does not have an anti-nepotism policy, which means members of your immediate family and other relatives may work for SSI. However, it is not appropriate to have an employee supervise a family member or relative. On another point, while we encourage you to be active with your family and community, any activities with which you choose to be involved outside of work should not negatively impact your performance as an employee of SSI. This includes second jobs, hobbies, or other activities that by their nature could impact your performance at work. You should not use company time, facilities, supplies, equipment, or other resources to further your interests away from work. The overarching theme is that if you have any concerns about a potential conflict, raise them with your supervisor, colleagues, me, etc. We want to bring things out into the open. When in doubt, check it out. Regarding political activities and contributions, SSI encourages its directors, officers, and employees to be active in political arenas. However, any involvement needs to be at an individual level and not in any way associated with your affiliation with SSI. Corporate political contributions at the federal level are prohibited by law, period. Corporate political contributions are permitted by certain states, but are prohibited by others. In addition, the circumstances under which corporate resources can be used to sponsor political advertisements or campaign events are very limited, and subject to specific and detailed rules and guidelines. Thus, before considering undertaking any activity or expenditure to support a candidate, campaign, political party, or interest group that would involve company resources, you must first consult with either the Public Affairs or Legal Department. The next topic is company property and company information. One of our company's greatest assets is information. We expect that every employee will keep company information confidential and will only divulge such information within the company on a need-to-know basis. Company property, including computers, equipment, office supplies, etc., should be used only for valid business purposes. We understand that limited incidental use of company computers, telephones, and cell phones will occur. Therefore, unless otherwise prohibited by an employee's supervisor, reasonable incidental use of company phones, computers, or other equipment is permitted. During your tenure with SSI, you will be responsible for using company assets and property, including using its computer systems. The computers that are provided to you or those you have access to for work are the property of the company, and these systems have been provided for use in conducting company business. Be aware that all communications and information, whether it be written documentation or information transmitted by, received from, created on, or stored on the computer system, becomes a company record and company property. Therefore, employees should not have an expectation of privacy in anything they create, store, send, or receive on the computer system or by any other means. Our policy also prohibits using our system to send or receive messages or files that are illegal, sexually explicit, abusive, offensive, or profane. You should also use email etiquette. Think before you click. You may not use company property to solicit for religious or political causes. As noted earlier, reasonable, incidental computer use for outside activities not related to an employee's service with the company is permissible, but this should not consume time during normal working hours. Please respect the use of the company computer system and always conduct yourself in a professional manner, as violation of these policies will be grounds for discipline up to and including termination. We will now discuss accounting records. First, accounting procedures. As you may know, the company has established accounting policies, procedures, and internal controls which are available on the SSI intranet. If, in performing your duties, you are responsible for complying with these policies, procedures, or controls, You should familiarize yourself with them and seek guidance when needed. Second, record integrity. You must never knowingly make false records. We understand that everyone makes mistakes from time to time. The problem is not in making the mistake, but in failing to correct it, or worse, covering it up. If you make an error in an accounting or other record, bring it to the attention of your supervisor. A proper resolution of the error will include appropriate documentation of the error and a discussion of how it was corrected. Third, reporting integrity. As a public company, we must maintain the highest standards so that what we report to regulatory agencies and the public is accurate. And integrity in reporting our day-to-day activities will ensure the reported numbers are reliable for purposes of shareholder and management decisions. Fourth, expenses. All expenditures of SSI funds should be made in accordance with our travel and expense management and expense report policies and procedures. You must maintain proper documentation to support all expenditures, and you must document the business purpose for those expenditures. We expect our employees to act with integrity in preparing expense reimbursement requests, and those of you responsible for reviewing such reimbursement requests must ensure that you have obtained and reviewed proper documentation before approving the reimbursement. Fifth, contracts. The company takes its contractual obligations seriously and therefore has developed procedures to ensure that contracts are adequately reviewed before they are executed. If you are involved in sales, purchase, or other types of contracts, make sure you understand the applicable rules and seek review from the legal, finance, or compliance departments when required. If a vendor, customer, or anyone else gives you a contract to sign which requires approvals by legal, finance, or compliance prior to signature, you should inform them of our policy regarding internal review and respectfully ask them for more time to perform this review. Most vendors, customers, and others will expect this type of review. Sixth, retention of records. SSI's records retention policy is, like all corporate policies and procedures, available on the intranet. If your position requires you to maintain corporate records of any kind, you should make sure you have a good understanding of the policy. If you have questions about retention of records, please contact the legal department. The next topic is marketplace equity. In our dealings with suppliers and customers, no SSI employee may receive or give any personal kickbacks, bribes, refunds, rebates, or any other form of personal payment. Giving or receiving cash or cash equivalents, such as gift cards, is not allowed. In certain cases, it is normal to give or accept gifts or entertainment in dealing with customers or suppliers. Any such giving or accepting of gifts and entertainment should be in the normal course of business, should not regularly occur, and should be of a reasonable value. You may not accept gifts of more than nominal value, which is defined in the code as $50 or less. For unsolicited gifts that cannot be shared and that are of more than nominal value, consult your supervisor regarding the proper disposition of the gift. As will be discussed later, gifts and entertainment with respect to international transactions are especially sensitive. Regarding antitrust laws, it is very important for you to understand that certain types of communications with competitors can be a violation of federal antitrust laws. These laws prohibit agreements with competitors to restrain trade. Prohibited acts include price fixing, customer allocation, and group boycotts. Please note that these activities are always illegal, regardless of the specifics. The term agreement can be interpreted very broadly. You should not have any conversations with competitors regarding pricing and production levels, marketing methods, inventories, product development, or splitting of sales territories. You should also not discuss any proprietary or confidential information. When in doubt, do not discuss these matters with competitors. And, if you are approached by a competitor to discuss prohibited topics, refuse firmly and directly and do not participate in the discussion. Then, report the event to your supervisor, and if the communication was particularly egregious, please report it to the legal department or to me. If you are in a sales, marketing, or similar position where you interact with competitors, you will be receiving more detailed training on this important topic. We must also be mindful of how we gain information about our competitors. SSI and our employees must only acquire confidential information through legal means. Information that is in the public domain is generally not a problem. However, we must never pressure competitors or anyone else to disclose confidential information. Regarding securities laws, as a publicly traded company, there are specific rules with respect to using non-public information for personal gain. Violation of these insider trading rules can be very serious, not only to SSI, but to you individually. The most common problems in this area result from someone with non-public information buying or selling SSI stock or other securities based on that information. It is also improper to pass along such non-public information to anyone that has no need to know it. This includes coworkers, relatives, friends, or anyone else. Indeed, be careful of innocent communications that may impart confidential information. For instance, "I can't make lunch as we're gearing up for a big acquisition and I have to work," may provide inside information even though that was not your intention. The company has designated certain employees and other persons as restricted persons for purposes of our stock trading policy. You will be notified if you are on the list of restricted persons. If you are designated as a restricted person, you must comply with blackout periods on trading that are in effect from time to time. Even if you are not designated as a restricted person, it is illegal to trade in SSI stock or other securities when you are in possession of non-public information. If you are unsure, you should check with the legal department before making any trades. Again, when in doubt, check it out. We will now turn to the important topic of anti-corruption. Schnitzer takes the issue of corruption very seriously and prohibits corruption of any type. Specifically, it is company policy that all employees must adhere strictly to the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and all other anti-corruption and anti-bribery laws and regulations of each country in which Schnitzer conducts business. It is important to note that in some cases, observing these anti-corruption and anti-bribery laws may place us at a competitive disadvantage. Nevertheless, we believe strongly in doing business in an ethical manner and view the value to us of adhering to the Code of Conduct and other laws far outweighs any business that may be lost. We believe the way we achieve results is as important as the results themselves. First, I would like to discuss the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, or FCPA, in more detail. I would note that Canada has a similar law called the Corruption of Foreign Public Officials Act, with which we must comply, and you should consider this discussion to apply to all employees wherever located. The general rule is that no one acting for or on behalf of the company shall offer, make, promise, approve, or authorize the making of a prohibited payment to a foreign government official. A prohibited payment has three components. First, it means the giving of anything of value. This may include hospitality, entertainment, or gifts in certain circumstances. Second, it means giving with the idea of influencing an act or decision. And third, it means giving in order to assist in obtaining or retaining business. It is important to note that foreign government official not only includes persons employed directly by a foreign government, such as customs inspectors, employees of agencies, etc., but it also includes candidates for political office, high-ranking members of political parties, and, most importantly, employees of government-owned companies. Thus, a purchasing manager for an even partially government-owned company could be a foreign government official. For those of you directly involved in international transactions, you will be receiving much more training on these issues. In the meantime, use extreme caution when dealing with foreign government officials of any type and under any circumstance. In addition to corruption involving foreign government officials, our Code of Conduct prohibits other types of corruption. This includes bribery and corruption of U.S. government employees or officials, as well as commercial bribery of any type. Examples of commercial bribery would be to pay or promise to pay kickbacks, rebates, or other types of compensation to an employee of another company. As I mentioned earlier, just as gifts and entertainment can create conflicts of interest, so too must we be careful that this type of activity is not used in a corrupt manner or in a way designed to improperly influence anyone with which we do business. Because gifts and entertainment provided to foreign government officials is so sensitive, you must obtain my prior written approval before engaging in this activity. For gifts to non-government officials, we must ensure that the gifts, even if it was not our intent, are not improperly interpreted. We should use a rule of reasonableness. As a general guideline, any gift should be of reasonable cost and approved by your supervisor. Examples of appropriate gifts are baskets of fruits or other treats, t-shirts, caps, etc. imprinted with the company's logo, and other types of similar low-value items. However, highly personal gifts should be avoided. These would include things like cologne, made-to-order clothing, etc. And finally, cash or cash equivalents, like gift cards, may never, ever be given. Remember, too, that you are always on duty when engaged in business activities. You never want to put yourself in a position where your integrity is questioned or your behavior could cause embarrassment to you or the company. The code also prohibits participation in money laundering or terrorist activities. The company takes very seriously its responsibilities for homeland security and will not knowingly do business with any entity that supports terrorism. Similarly, the company will not knowingly do business with anyone that is engaged in a criminal enterprise. At this point, our CEO, Tamara Lundgren, will conclude this Code of Conduct discussion.
This completes your Code of Conduct training session. We hope it has been helpful in expanding your understanding of our code. As you are presented with ethical issues during the course of your career at Schnitzer, please review its provisions. And remember that in addition to referring to the code, you are always encouraged to speak with your immediate supervisor or anyone else you believe could assist you in handling or resolving an ethical business decision or course of action. There's no need to try to make these difficult decisions on your own. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to our ethics program.